Studios, Facebook.com/Secrets of the Sire, Twitch.tv/Secrets of the Sire. You can go to secretsofthesire.com. Find our podcast on all podcasting apps immediately following this live stream. It's on Apple, Spreaker, Spotify, Google, Anchor, iHeart, you name it. We're out there. We're also on the Castworks Comedy Network comedy channel. We love them. Tonight on Secrets of the Sire, Ben on his Batman exit. Sonic booms at the box office. Birds of Prey still busts. And we welcome Todd Black for his Todd's Top 10 Comics You Should Be Reading. He will spin the comic to movie racks with us. I'm your host, Michael Dolce, as always joined by my cohort in crime, the Lord of the live stream himself, Mr. Hassan Godwin. How you doing, sir?
Yeah, it's Wednesday.
It is Wednesday, and as you just so eloquently asked me, you're like, what are we talking about today? That's what we're talking about today. We are talking about...
The fact that it's Wednesday, we're talking about Wednesday.
We are talking about Wednesday. We are talking sad Ben Affleck, which that story kind of came out today, which was pretty good. We are talking Sonic booming. We are talking Birds of Prey. But we're going to start tonight, our opening credits, with a link you sent me last week, which was pretty cool. Hopper Lives, Stranger Things Season 4 teaser reveals David Harbour's. Is it Arbor or Harbor?
I think it's Harbor. I've heard it pronounced Harbor.
I want to pronounce a silent H. I'm like compelled to. I don't know why. David Harbour's return. This is from Entertainment Weekly. It's official. David Harbour's chief, Jim Hopper, will in fact return for Stranger Things Season 4, and there's a teaser video to prove it. Harbour himself has been trying to throw people off the scent after, spoiler alert, his character seemingly met his end in the underground Russian facility back in Season 3. At the end of Season 3, in a post-credit sequence, operatives at a snowy Russian facility made mention of an American being held in their custody. The new teaser confirms Hopper is that captive, and he's been forced into working on some kind of railroad with other prisoners. A couple real quick comments before I get into the big question that I think you and I started talking about last week. Doesn't necessarily mean the American that they have in custody was Hopper. It just means they have Hopper in custody. That could be a separate American. That is being held prisoner right now. Right?
Yeah, that could be.
Said teaser video was pretty sparse with reveals.
Yeah, but it got right to the point. Like, it didn't, it was like, okay, it's Stranger Things, Hopper's back. Mm-hmm. Thank you. Please be there.
Yeah.
please support us, and that's about it. I mean, it was pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
I think everybody, it's like I don't even, it's like, what kind of mystery is it? It's like, it was like Endgame. Like, everyone knows all these characters are coming back,
Right.
Marvel's not going to kill off their entire universe, but getting into the spirit of the adventure of it, getting into the spirit of the cliffhanger in and of itself, getting into the zeitgeist of what the actual event that it is. Mm-hmm. People were like, I want to know exactly. I know they're all coming back, but I want to know exactly how they're coming back.
Right.
So, everybody knew Hopper was still alive. Yeah. Everybody kind of, like, there's not a lot of, I mean, there were a couple of permutations where people were like, maybe he's not dead. Maybe David Harbour is done. Maybe he's moving on. Next season's going to be their last season. So
yeah, maybe he turns into the Red Guardian in Season 4.
Yeah, exactly. And then 11.
And then we find out Netflix was bought by Marvel, and we're
11 fights like, Taskmaster, and you're like, no. But it's just kind of one of those things where, like, all right, he's probably coming, but he's one of the biggest things in the show,
right?
And the way they got rid of him was kind of unceremonious enough where it would fit in the Game of Thrones kind of Walking Dead pantheon of things to do to F with your audience.
Yeah,
but it just wouldn't work with the format of the show.
Right.
So we all knew he was kind of coming back. We just didn't know how, and we didn't know when.
Right.
The thing that was more shocking than Hopper reveal was the fact was the fact that Stranger Things was coming back that
So
fast.
wait. That's exactly the point I wanted to talk about. This is like sometimes you have these simpatico consciousness, stream of consciousness moments where we're thinking the exact same thing, and you actually messaged me. You're like, hey, this thing's like coming back a lot sooner than it normally was. And I remember the first thing I thought was, I was like, wow, this was really fast. They must really be on a creative roll here, right? I mean, that's the only explanation. Why else would you come back so fast? The lapse between season 1 and season 2 was this is my humble opinion. I have no facts to back this up, but just speaking as a creator, I said they poured everything they had into season 1. They had no idea it was going to be a phenomenon. They probably didn't even know if they were going to be renewed for season 2.
Yeah.
And then it became not only successful and renewed, but it came this like phenomenal smash hit, people talking about it if there was a water cooler, but I don't know if anybody actually talks around the water cooler.
What is a water cooler? I have no idea what that is.
I know.
All my water's cool, damn it.
maybe they talk around the water filter now. I don't even know.
Yeah, the water filter.
but here's the thing. They probably were like, I don't know. What do you want to do for season 2? I don't know. We kind of did everything, and so it took a while to come up with the season 2, and then season 2. Well, some might argue was just as good. I won't. I don't think it was a huge drop off, but it didn't capture the same zeitgeist that season 1 did. There's a period of time between season 2 and 3. I was just saying, there's this period of time between season 2 and 3 where they probably had to sit down and really go back to the drawing board and go, you know what?
I thought season 2 came out the year after season 1. I thought it was pretty quick. I mean, as in the new normal.
Yeah.
Of what quickness is, because it used to be a couple of months, right? You used to have to wait a couple of months, and then the show would come back.
The show would end in May and would be back in September.
Exactly. Okay, so I think the around the time between seasons 2 and 3 was when a bunch of shows were starting to pull this take an extra year off crap. So Stranger Things took 2 years to come back.
Yeah.
Westworld took 2 years to come back.
Right. I'm actually looking up the dates right now.
Game of Thrones took 2 years to come back, and every time they came back weaker.
Right.
Except for season 3 of Stranger Things, which I actually very much enjoyed. And also season 3 of Stranger Things was a season change because they went from winter to summer.
Right.
So they went from school to summer vacation, at least. But I seem to remember Stranger Things season 2 came a year after. Not exactly a year after, but it came the next year.
It was a year and a half later. I mean, it was essentially October. So it was July was season 1 of 2016.
Okay.
October of 2017. So it was a full year and a half. And then another year and a half.
That's not a year and a half. 2016 July. That's a couple
August, September, October. All right, so maybe a year and a quarter.
3 months. Yeah.
A year and a quarter. And then season 3 came back out July of 2019. So it's following. So yes, it was probably a year and a half between.
That's 2 years. That's 2 solid years, though. That's not like they skipped a year.
Right.
They literally skipped over.
Well, no. I mean, no. Look, October of 2017.
Yeah.
They skipped over all of 2018 and they came back in the summer of 2019. So I'd say a full year and 3 quarters. So they went from a year and a quarter to a year and 3 quarters. Yeah.
So,
but again, the rationale in my head, I'm sitting there thinking,
and you got to do those. You got to do those pretty quick, right?
Yeah.
Because those kids are like 40 now, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's going
they
to be
look
hard
like us.
to hide.
They have beards. It's great.
Yeah, exactly. It's going to be hard to hide them aging as fast.
Yeah.
As it.
So 2020. You figure if it's coming back this season, that's crazy.
Probably this summer. Probably in the summer.
I mean, that would be the quickest. That would be the quickest. Maybe in October. Maybe they'll do the full October, which actually would be the same amount of time though between season 1 and season 2. But even still, it does. You're right. It feels quicker. It just feels like we didn't see Stranger Things season 2. We didn't see a trailer for season 2 until like almost it was ready to be released. And season 3, same thing. It was like
that's the thing I dislike about this new. I all the streaming stuff and all these shows. There's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of content. So I mean, you have to actually go looking through all your services for something. There's something that you could take your time to watch. Like there's stuff on YouTube that I skip over because it's a half hour long, or it's 2 hours long. I'm like, I don't have that kind of time to waste on this. If it's a 5-minute bite, I'll watch it. If not,
right.
So I understand. I definitely understand. I totally dislike this new kind of laissez-faire attitude that everybody has about when the show is needs to come back. Like, no, we're not on a schedule. We come back when we want. Well, we'll come back when we got a story to tell. We're damn good and ready. We'll be back. And I dislike it. I mean, I'm just old school. I know it's not going to go back to the way it used to be, but I dislike it.
This is a question that I'm going to save for our guest tonight, Todd Black, who's an indie creator. We enjoy having him on. I feel like music and comics, the commodity of the issue / song / album I don't have the same level of anticipation for like I used to back in the day, but I feel like the anticipation for content is actually hungrier than ever. And is that just the time?
They've got so many mouths to feed. Like the market has gone global.
Yeah.
In order to compete in a global market, you got to keep putting content out because chances are most of your stuff is going to be mediocre, right?
Yeah. Isn't that the truth though?
It's just a natural law. It's just the law of averages. Like your average. I mean, it doesn't mean it's bad. It's just you're for every Stranger Things, you're going to get. I can't even think of an example, but you're going to get like a War of the Worlds like remake or something like that.
Right.
Which last year, 2019, there were 2 War of the Worlds adaptations. So I mean, and that's not to say that either of them are bad. It's just that they're not breaking any new ground with 2 brand new adaptations of the same book in the same year, right? Yeah. You just have different takes on the same story. So the hunger for content is constant, and it's good for content creators. It's good for people like us who are who are constantly trying to come up with content to to fill a void. But it
doesn't always amount to the best stuff.
Well, you're gonna miss the ability to breathe. I don't know. I don't know what the solution is. But not being able to breathe is a significant.
It'll correct itself. It always does. I think
it's gonna be like a housing market. It's gonna be a glut.
I agree.
It's gonna drop off, and then a lot of people. I mean, there's gonna be like a devastating apocalypse of content. You know,
well, we'll see. We'll see where it goes, and we'll see if when Stranger Things 4 actually does drop. If it's one of those like I'm gonna tease it, and then like 3 years later it's gonna actually come out because we don't actually have a release date, so. We don't know.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't know why you would tease it at the beginning of this year.
We assume.
Yeah,
we assume it's coming back.
It's February. It's not like it. If they teased it basically in June, then you could probably say it could come out 2021 January 2021. But they tease it in February, so I mean, I imagine I'll put me on the line, so you don't have to agree with this. I imagine it must be sometime this year.
Yeah,
maybe at the end of the year. Hopefully not. I hope it's summer. I hope it's 4th of July again.
That'd be great.
They were very successful with the 4th of July weekend last year.
Yeah.
So I hope it's that soon. But I mean, I imagine it's got to be this year.
Yeah, I think you're probably right. Something that's never coming back is our next topic of opening credits is Ben Affleck as Batman. We obviously know he's not coming back. He had mentioned it, but he opened up about it for the first time about his Batman exit in an interview with the New York Times. And he basically, some of it's for the reason you think, and some of it is a little more personal that you don't necessarily get to see because we don't necessarily look at celebrities as real people sometimes. But after showing a confidant his plans for the Batman, the actor was told, "I think the script is good. I also think you'll drink yourself to death if you go through with what you just went through again. So this is from the New York Times, and he talked about how he stepped aside, allowing Matt Reeves to take over and Robert Pattinson to don the cowl after deciding that the troubled shoot for Justice League had sapped his interest. Affleck never seemed to enjoy his time as Batman. His sullen demeanor while promoting Batman v Superman resulted in the hit meme Sad Affleck, which I still do love that meme. I showed somebody the Batman script. Affleck recalled that he wrote. He was supposed to write and direct this thing. They said, I think the script is good. I also think you'll drink yourself to death if you go through what you just went through again, referring to the public reaction to Batman v Superman and Justice League. And also, in addition to that, he was going through a divorce. So he turned to alcohol to kind of cope. And all of that combined just said bye-bye to the Batman. And it's two ways to look at this. One, I'm glad he says he's doing better now. And that's good, because I think Ben Affleck has been a pop culture, icon for so long. He's been rooted in comic book movies, be it Daredevil, be it Batman. But it's also sad because I thought his Bruce Wayne, I think, is the best Bruce Wayne we've seen. I also think he was really, really good as Dark Knight Batman. Despite the script problems and despite the, studio
I think it was my favorite
shenanigans.
Batman. I think next to Michael Keaton, it was my favorite Batman.
Yeah, and I like him better. Like, he just looked the part better. He sounded the part better. He acted way, way better than Christian Bale. Like, way, way better as a Batman.
My feelings on the Christian Bale Batman are well documented, so I won't beat that horse. But
I'm not even talking about the scripts or the execution of the movie. I mean just the representation of Batman. Mm-hmm. I think far superior to Christian Bale. Very close, but I think I give him the nod ahead of Michael Keaton. So I'm very sad by that. I'm upset. I'm glad. It sucks. His divorce was probably really not great. He had an incident where he groped somebody, apparently, because he was wasted, and it was on TV, and that was right around the Me Too movement, and he understood what he did was wrong, and he's since. But I'm always rooting for the guy, just in general. I don't know why, and it's weird because like 15 years ago, Ben Affleck, we don't need to see that guy again, and how much his public persona, at least in my eyes, has changed.
Yeah, he had a lot of longevity. Also, I think he did himself a tremendous boost by becoming a director. And like The Town, he comes out with movies like The Town and Argo, which are just, like, okay, this guy's not a joke.
Right.
Like, so, I mean, you go from reindeer games,
right,
to
isn't that the funniest thing? I mean, to use the sports analogy too, I'm a big Knicks fan, and the Knicks hired a marketing guru to improve their image, and everyone, including myself, was like, you don't need to hire a marketing guru. You just need to start winning games, and you'll improve your image. Ben Affleck was the Knicks for a while, but then
so was Keanu Reeves. I mean, everybody takes time. I mean, the greatest Hollywood comeback of all time, has to be John Travolta, who was the Saturday Night Fever guy.
Oh, that's a pretty good one, actually. Best comebacks.
Yeah, and he was a joke with the Look Who's Talking movies. I mean, he wasn't a joke.
The Keanu sense is also pretty good. Keanu's resurgence.
Yeah, but I mean, like it's not as he wasn't a cultural punchline like Travolta had become.
Yes.
Okay, because Travolta had become a 70s icon that turned into an 80s has-been.
Yeah.
That where the joke was you were good once, but now you're John Travolta.
That's yeah.
And then Pulp Fiction happens, and suddenly his name is headline material, like John Travolta in, and he does movies like Phenomenon and Michael, and it was just like, holy crap! Like John Travolta is a serious player now. Like he's and I mean, look, it quickly, it was a joke. Then it was a joke that he wasn't a joke anymore. Then it just wasn't a joke anymore. Like, okay, no, John Travolta is a
you know who he was never
a household name. He's back.
Right. He was never a joke. But you know who also kind of had a career renaissance? more in the vein of Keanu Reeves, is Liam Neeson. Liam Neeson was this like serious actor who was well respected, then disappeared for a while. So again, he wasn't a joke. So I do agree with you. I think John Travolta was in joke status land.
Yeah.
But then all of a sudden he did Taken.
Liam Neeson was resurrected 3 times, I think, because he was in movies like High Spirits and Kin. You know, way back when.
I don't even know those movies.
Yeah, okay. And then that's where I first noticed him.
I'm familiar with him in Schindler's List, like that, around that time.
Yeah, and that's kind of around, like, he did movies like Shining Through and Schindler's List. That's kind of his comeback, his first comeback, where he was like, he was a legitimate, like, just a, you know, like a solid Hollywood actor who was in, you know, maybe he wasn't the star, but he was... Right. He was featured in a lot of blockbuster movies. And then he's Darkman, and now he's headlining a movie. And it's kind of like, okay, you're a little bit on the cusp of ridiculous, but you're okay. We like you. He plays Qui-Gon Jinn. It's like, all right, yeah, Liam Neeson. He's a Jedi. He fits as a Jedi. Right. Then he does Taken, and that's it. Then he explodes like it's Neesonism.
I know.
Everywhere, you know.
I know, and he's this, and again, he's. I don't want to use the word pacifist on screen, but he is a soft-spoken guy. He is he's not seen as an action hero,
but he is menacing, you know. And I mean, those things showcase how his physical presence. Yeah, and then also the other greatest comeback of our time is Robert Downey Jr.
Yes,
who was another punchline. Who was
Chris Evans could also be in that vein, not to the same degree, because Robert Downey Jr., you're absolutely right, though. I mean,
Chris Evans was in danger of obscurity. He was in danger of becoming obscure. He was gonna be what's his name? Casper Van Dien, you know? Yeah. Because he was a little too good looking to be taken seriously. And then he was, you know, he did a couple of rom-coms and stuff, and he just didn't. But I mean, and then he becomes Captain America, and it was like, oh, Captain America, that's going to be a joke. And
right.
Then, you know, of course, Captain America was.
Well, he was Human Torch also, and he was not a good Human Torch. So you just
had. Well, those were not good movies.
No, I know, but you just had this reservation. You're like, really, that guy? Yeah. All right. And then you're like, nope, that's Captain America.
I remember seeing Chris Evans in Sunshine, which was I forget who made that movie, but it was a science fiction movie. Okay. Like real hard science fiction movie about they're trying to reignite the sun, because the sun was going out and it was getting really cold on Earth, and also Cillian Murphy was in it. Okay. A couple of other people. It was years ago. It was the early 2000s, and it was a drama, and I was like, Chris Evans is in this, like, and I remember that was the first time I noticed, like, this guy's acting. You know, this guy's like, this guy's pulling this off. Like he's out of space. He wasn't playing an astronaut like he's the hero astronaut. He was actually playing a somewhat antagonistic protagonist. Like Cillian Murphy was basically the protagonist, and Chris Evans was kind of his foil a little bit. Like he was just a jerk, but he was, you know, and it was very dramatic. He had a dramatic ending in that movie, and it was like, all right, this guy knows how to act. He wants to act. He doesn't want to be. It's like kind of the Tom Cruise thing, right? Where it's like, okay, now he's in the firm. He's not doing action movies and only that he's doing drama movies, right? And he was in Knives Out recently
too, and he got rave reviews for that.
Yeah. So I mean, like the guy, but I mean, Robert Downey Jr. was absolutely. I mean, it was a joke about
Johnny Depp too. I think fits in that.
Johnny Depp's about to. He looks like he's about to enjoy a resurgence now that a lot of stuff has come to light about his domestic unfortunates. You know. Yeah. But who knows what the truth of those stories are? Yeah. So I mean, like, there's a lot of tremendous comebacks. Like people come back. So Affleck to bring it all back home. Affleck definitely, like getting out, getting healthy, admitting to his insecurities and his weaknesses and stuff like that. That's just that can do nothing but put him in a good light. All you got to do is make it a really good movie now, and no one's gonna hold the Batman thing against him.
Yeah.
The worst thing he could have done was make a bad Batman movie on top of being sick and being unhappy and being sad fleck. I mean, that would have ruined everything. So good for him.
Still my favorite meme. All right. Chime in the comments feed on facebook.com/Secrets of the Sire, youtube.com/Sire Studios. Let us know your pick for best comeback or biggest comeback, or maybe just mention a comeback we haven't seen. We will respond to you back in the comments. When we come back, Sonic booms at the box office, Birds of Prey, a respectable second place, but still leading to box office dismay. And we're going to give you the number one reason why Birds of Prey did not connect with audiences when we come back.
Pornhub traffic plummets during Game of Thrones season premiere. Porn provider Pornhub reports their site traffic was down 4.5% on Sunday when HBO aired the popular fantasy series season 7 premiere. It's a considerable change in visitors as Sunday night is one of our most popular times.
Here's a ridiculous question that probably no one asked.
Yeah.
Who did they report that to? I mean, like who said, "Hey, how'd your traffic go while Game of Thrones is on?"
Yeah.
And how did that become a thing?
Somebody had a question. Somebody had to think that
someone
question.
had to wonder,
and contact Pornhub and be like, was porn down?
It had to be so bad that Pornhub had to call somebody and say, "Hey, where'd everybody go?"
Do you know what they probably did? They probably put it on social media.
Yeah.
Secrets of the Sire.
Welcome back to Secrets of the Sire. Secrets of the Sire is brought to you by all of our beloved patrons, dedicated fans Tom Osa, Craig Caruso, Einar Peterson, Matt Byer, Omar Morales, Brian Phillips, our program director Stephanie Dolce, and as always, our Uber fan Christina Dolce. You can go support us on Patreon for as little as $1, patreon.com/Sire Studios. This month, I'll be releasing brand new artwork from some upcoming projects, so I'm pretty excited about that. Perhaps more stuff from Mr. Hassan Godwin, who we put on the Patreon page for patrons only last month. So we'll see what would pop up there, but pretty soon we'll be having some stuff there. Also, you can catch me at C2E2. That is the Great Chicago Comic Book and Entertainment Expo. It's happening February 28th to March 1st. There's a leap year in there. Yep. And we'll be at booth 106, Sire Studios. So come check us out. All right. Last week, we kind of dove headfirst into Birds of Prey. We gave a really thorough review. So again, check out all of our stuff. You can check us out on SoundCloud and Apple Podcasts and Spreaker and all those fun places, YouTube, to catch up on anything you missed. SecretsOfTheSire.com is a great house for all of that. This week, much to our surprise, Sonic the Hedgehog boomed at the President's Day box office. Okay. This was Sonic the Hedgehog that we're not reviewing this movie because we didn't go to see this because we're not going to go see this. But it had a 4-day debut in the 45 to 50 million range based on the Sega's video game about the world's speediest hedgehog. It's easily expected to race ahead of a crowded pack of films and top the actually, it did. It topped the long 4-day holiday frame. It wakes Paramount from hibernation. But it also, what it basically did, which was interesting, at one point, kind of like what Cats did, they showed scenes from it, and the reaction online was like, and they did go back. I remember very vividly. Yeah, they went back and retooled it a little bit. So it like I said, it boomed ahead, and I'll continue using that analogy because it's just very easy to do. Mm-hmm. And meanwhile, Birds of Prey landed second. With a respectable 17 million in its second weekend, but ultimately to break even, if you factor in marketing costs and whatnot. I mean, it debuted as to one of the lowest DC, one of the lowest superhero movies in this superhero age period, and does not seem to be, connected.
Yeah, it's not a runaway hit. It's definitely not a runaway hit.
No.
It was like, this is what I was saying last week. It's like, we won't know if it's a real flop until we see the drop off from the week after, and then we get the actual metrics exactly what it needs to break even and what its chances are. So I mean, when we were calling it a flop last week, or we were saying it was disappointing last week, we were stating it correctly. At the time last week, it was a disappointment. Around now, it's a respectable disappointment,
Right.
So they're still not calling it a flop yet, but it certainly isn't a hit. It certainly isn't guaranteeing that there's going to be a Birds of Prey series, that's in the works, coming up. I think Margot Robbie's going to bounce back from it because she's already doing Suicide Squad.
She's such a star. I mean, she really is such a star too. I mean, she has.
And then another one of her movies just won Best Picture, right?
Correct.
So I mean, she's going to be all right. She's going to survive it, and everybody else in it weren't tasked with carrying the movie in and of itself,
right?
And Ewan McGregor's going to be Obi-Wan, maybe. Depending on.
Well, Ewan McGregor had nothing to lose by being in that movie, and he could always just say it was Jason Bateman in the movie anyway. And right. Meanwhile, Jason Bateman. Oh, Jason Bateman. That's another comeback guy, right?
Oh yeah,
right. Because he was an '80s guy, and then he kind of disappeared after Teen Wolf 2.
He absolutely vanished.
With Arrested Development.
See now, to me, he came back with Hancock. Remember Hancock? The
I
Will
do
Smith
remember
movie,
that.
Superhero movie.
Yeah. Okay.
And I'm like, is that Jason Bateman?
It's right around the same time as Arrested Development. It was 2004, right? Hancock was 2004, I think. Yeah.
And I honestly think just before Hancock, he came back in the strangest movie. I think it was The Kingdom. It was a Jamie Foxx movie where he was an FBI agent and went to the Middle East.
Yeah.
And I'm like, is that
he has
Jason Bateman? Why
he
Jason
had
Bateman?
/has some of the most quotable lines ever from Dodgeball. His small cameo in Dodgeball. Remember Dodgeball?
Yeah.
F&A Cotton. The Ocho.
My favorite.
It appears they're not showing up. It's a bold move, Cotton. It's a bold strategy, Cotton. That's
my favorite.
Bold strategy. This is one of my favorite Jason Bateman lines of all time.
Was his in Hancock when he was talking after Hancock went to jail.
Yeah.
And he's visiting Hancock. Did you shove a man's head up another man's A? And Hancock just stares at him, and Jason Bateman says, "Okay, we're gonna circle back to that." And I think that's the first time I ever heard that term used, conversationally. So I'm like, all right. First of all, brilliant reaction. Second of all, that's fantastic. So I mean,
he's a good one.
Jason Bateman. I mean, he's in a movie. He's in a TV show now called The Outsiders on HBO.
And Ozark on Netflix, which is one of those quiet smash hits.
Yeah, well,
Outsiders very, very
Outsiders, he's a murderer.
Yeah,
or
very good.
Murderer.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So it's just he's got range. Jason Bateman's got range. So definitely, it's good to have him back. In my opinion,
I agree with you.
So welcome back, Jason Bateman.
I agree with you. All right,
10 years later.
Birds of Prey, the troubles go back to one bad decision, according to ScreenRant.com. The story of Birds of Prey was told with an R rating, making it the first DCEU title to carry the MPAA certificate. Unfortunately, the R rating is likely what kept Birds of Prey from fulfilling its box office potential. Comic book movies with R ratings hailing from major studios used to be an unthinkable prospect. Thanks to the massive box office success of the recent R-rated comic book movies like Deadpool and Logan, though, it's now a regular occurrence. However, not all R-rated takes are destined to be equally big box office juggernauts, as seen by Birds of Prey, because the target audience for Harley Quinn is actually in the teens. Teenage girls love her. The argument that the teenage boy wants to see something sexy is actually a flawed argument in and of itself, especially the adult one. The audience that they really should have targeted was a PG-13. I personally think they do PG-13. This movie is completely different in terms of box office.
You do that movie in the PG-13 though?
Just don't curse. Just don't curse.
It's just a weird kind of film, with villains at only one villain, but I mean with a villain at the helm of the film as a main protagonist. It's weird to aim a movie like that at children,
Yeah.
I think that's a moral dilemma that we haven't. I mean, marketingly it makes sense, but morally we have trouble with it because it's like I don't know exactly how to aim this. You know, I don't know if it's morally correct, whether or not that's a genuine concern to aim it at children. I think, look, it's the same thing that we always argue about, right? Or we don't really argue about it, but we kind of agree on it. But it's the same discussion we always have on it. It's a marketing thing. You know, you market this thing in the wrong way, because I've seen the movie, not a bad movie, not a particularly anti-man movie.
You know what?
If that's an anti-man movie, every movie where Arnold Schwarzenegger shoots a woman in the head is an anti-woman movie.
That never happens. That never happens in Arnold Schwarzenegger movies. No, there were
except for Sharon Stone.
There were a couple of things. There were a couple of things in that movie.
Oh boy,
was that lightly touched upon it. I would say
what lightly touches upon.
There's not there is not a single, at the end, there is not a single female in that group of men that are going after them. Ewan McGregor hates men for some reason, but they never explain why, but that's one of his check marks as well. Or sorry, hates women, and that's one of his check marks. They never go into why. They never give up.
But that's not an anti-male thing. That's a Ewan McGregor thing. He's one guy. You know, that's not all men.
He's the central villain, though. I mean, that's kind of.
So what? So in a movie where the central villain is a woman, is that an anti-woman movie?
No, but look, if I'm just sitting here saying you can't honestly look at that movie and not. I didn't get beaten. I didn't get beaten over the head with it. It wasn't one of those things where I got beaten over the head with it. However, there were many folks who did comment and say, "Did you notice that this?" and "Did you notice that?" That's the preponderance argument again. They did have the one crazy female assassin come after her. So that's what I'm saying. I don't think it was. There was no. It was not offensive, I would say. Put it that way. It was not offensive in terms of.
I just don't. I mean, like I'm saying, like if you're gonna look at it that way, then you have to look at every situation where there's. I mean, there's this. It's not a. It wasn't like a blatant statement.
No, I agree.
Like if you look at a movie like Silence of the Lambs,
agreed.
That's a blatant statement. You know, about a woman in a man's world, right?
Yes.
Whenever you're gonna get a movie where you have a role reversal.
Right.
Or a gender reversal thing where you have an action movie where the main component of the action movie is a woman as opposed to a man, where it's definitely unarguably a male dominated field, right?
Yeah.
Then there's going to be comparisons of what a
girl
can
and
do
like I said,
what a guy can do
there was some undertones to it.
It's like looking for SJW moments in a movie.
But,
it's like you're gonna always get. There's anything can be bent to look.
But I will sit there and say, I will sit there and in a way agree with you by saying the problem with this film was it went all over the place. So there was no distinct message. There was like, is that a message? It can be construed as a message.
If you're looking for messages, you can find them. You will find messages where you look for them.
Again, it was not over the top. It was not offensive, and the fact that there were messages. It wasn't like even going to look for messages. There were messages all over the place on a variety of different.
If you're looking for messages, like if you're sitting, I mean, and I'm not gonna. That's again me not denying that the messages are there, but if you're going into the situation sensitive to messaging, then you're gonna have a harder time. In just enjoying the entertainment as opposed to, determining what is a message and what is not.
Well, I mean, look at a movie like Captain Marvel, where it didn't have an anti-man message necessarily so much as it had a woman's point of view message, but it very nicely, and I don't mean that in a polite sense, I just mean in terms of executed its message really good. Like, you're going to keep this character down. You're going to tell her she can't do things. You're going to tell her because she's a girl, she can't do things. And ultimately she's going to prove you wrong at the end. And it was just very well executed in the end. Harley Quinn had, like I said, moments where you sit there and go, okay, but never, no follow through on any of these perceived potential messages as you're kind of alluding to. So, but anyway, but we digress. Yes, it was all over the place. It was poorly marketed because it didn't know what it wanted to be, and that kind of just reinforces
the
how
marketing is
smart we are.
divisive. The marketing is corporate feminism, right?
Mhm.
You got this corporate feminism, in which case, if you break down, if you distill the entire movement of feminism to what outsiders see feminism as, it's just anti-male, right?
Mhm.
So the corporate idea of feminism is just a girl drop kicking a guy in a hallway,
right,
over and over and over again,
right.
And so if your marketing is corporate feminism, then you got a marketing problem, right? Because it's not even the nuances of what real feminism is, right?
Right.
And there's arguably nothing genuinely feminist about a female sociopath running around looking for a breakfast sandwich. Which is basically what the movie is about.
Has no one had a breakfast sandwich before? I mean, I wasn't. Yeah.
And it wasn't even a particularly good looking breakfast sandwich. It actually made me kind of queasy.
I agree with you, actually. I agree.
So, I mean, which I think was the point, because she's a sociopath.
More problems with this film. All right. When we come back, we welcome Todd Black on. He's going to give Todd's top 10 comics that you need to be reading. Unfortunately, comics doesn't flow with the alliteration that I was going for, but we'll make it through. All right.
Yeah.
When we come back.
Right. That was good work. Oh, look. Kid Harington's fighting Cersei again.
Yeah.
Ain't that something? Ain't that something?
Are they gonna bring Daenerys in? Are they gonna?
Yes.
Marvel's attempt. This is Marvel's attempt to
do it all.
Just to retcon the ending of Game of Thrones, isn't
Maybe
it?
so. Maybe this will be how they do it.
They're gonna do it.
Secrets of the Sire.
Welcome back to Secrets of the Sire. We talk comics, movies, TV, and pop culture every Wednesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern. Just want to remind folks, Secrets of the Sire is going rogue. What does that mean? Find out in a few weeks as we unleash some major news next month. It's going to be pretty awesome. Stick around, stay tuned, check out the Facebook feed, check out the website, and check out our podcast every week, and you'll be in for a real treat. All right, we do this every week. We go spinning the racks.
Spin the rack, spin that rack.
We are joined for our Spin the Rack segment today by Mr. Todd Black. He is an indie creator. He's on Kickstarter right now. Todd, how you doing, sir?
Pretty good.
Talk briefly about the Kickstarter that is going on as we speak.
Well, it is for my series Tokyo Blade Detectives, the first issue of which came out because of Kickstarter, so we're on issue number 2 now. I'm happy to say that we have hit our funding goal already for number 2 in about 4 days, which is a record for me. And so now we're just trying to, keep building it up. So,
how much of that is repeat customers and how much is new?
Ooh, I would say at least of the backers we have right now, about 90% is returning people, because I had a large surge in like the first 24 hours of like 30, 35 people, and then we've had some people trickle in after that. I did something atypically this time around. I launched it in the middle of the month instead of the beginning of the month like I usually do. I was trying to hit the Valentine's Day craze so that people could show their love for me, obviously. And it worked, but then I had a lot of people saying, "Oh, dude, I'm broke," and I'm like, "Oh, okay, but that's why I do it at the beginning of the month." So whatever.
Well, we wish you the best of success and luck with that. And,
Thank you.
How does that feel to reach your financial goal? Prior to the project, like it must be. I don't know what's the word. It must
Uplifting.
be so validating. Yeah, it must
validating, uplifting. I did cheat a little bit because the last Kickstarter, the number 1, we had a goal of $1,500, and that was as low as I felt I could go to make the project. But I did so well on that one that I got to lower the goal for number 2 to $1,000.
Oh, good. Okay.
So
reinvesting into it. That's great.
Exactly. So like all the excess that we got literally went to number 2, and so I was able to lower the goal. And thank goodness, because some of the people that had told me they're broke are like my $50, or plus backers, and they're just like, yeah, I probably still would get 1,500. I'm at 1,130 right now, last checking, but it's like I'm glad the stress is over. Now it's just like, how much can I get now?
Well, the stress isn't totally over though, too. I mean, it's a 30-day Kickstarter.
It's 30 day. We have like 25 days left to give or take.
Oh my god,
that's just the worst. That's the worst. No, but that's the worst stress though. It is because you do have people that like, for anyone that has never done a Kickstarter before, people drop, people change their.
The worst part of the first Kickstarter was the last day. Because I'm like $500 over the goal. I have no doubt that I'm going to reach it financially. But my personal goal was to get 100 backers. And I was at like 112-ish. And then some people just started like dropping like flies. I'm like, what is going on? And then eventually we ended up at 107. I'm like, fine, I'll take it. It's over. It's done.
Wow.
It was and then 7 of those people had like financial problems, so their pledges didn't go through. So I ended with exactly 100 backers.
Yeah, like, that's what happens. It's people don't realize, and just I will never do a 30-day Kickstarter ever again. I just won't. I just won't, because it's 30 days of misery. Like it really is.
It can be. Yeah,
it's 30 days. Like, it's awesome when you get that first surge, but then there's like that empty room shouting into a void feeling when you get like 1 backer a day or something like that. Just,
that was me 2 days
ago. It's an emotional roller coaster. It is absolutely. All right, so let's do something fun. Man. Let's
we'll
get
back to that.
Comics.
Let's get off that.
Because that's a lot of fun.
We'll get back to it. Spin the rack.
I confess, the reason we're doing this though is the same reason when I put out on my social media feeds for people to send me like music to listen to, because I'm not out there as much as I want to be, and I feel like good stuff is harder to find these days, and I don't have the time to put into finding good stuff. So I am looking to you for some good stuff to read. Yes. Todd's top 10.
Alliteration. Okay.
See how that goes? Yeah. We should have done top 10 trades. There's the alliteration.
Fail.
I know.
Too late. I've already thought my top 10. Okay. Obviously, the first thing you should read is Tokyo Blade Detective. Or any other.
Wait, that's alliteration too.
That's alliteration.
Tokyo.
Todd's Trade from Tokyo.
There you go.
Totally.
Stop. Please stop.
I don't think he likes us. I think he thinks this is a trifle.
This is a Titanic waste of time.
See,
that was terrible.
Nobody likes it until they want to participate.
Exactly. All right. But for the books that I read, I'm going to cheat for the first one, because I wouldn't say it's the best book I've read, but it's one of my favorites. It's Shazam by Jeff Johns.
Okay.
Anyone who knows me knows that Shazam is my favorite comic book character. Yes, my favorite comic book character is not Batman. Sue me. And I may or may not have 62 television scripts of a TV series that I totally want to write for Shazam. Maybe. Just saying. But I wanted to write a Shazam comic book, but then Jeff Johns got into it, and he's doing such a great job. I would never take it away from him.
Isn't that the worst feeling? You sit there and you're like, this guy's, he's telling all the stories.
Well, no,
he's doing it better than I would.
The story I would tell, but it's just like, I would have loved to have been the guy. He brought Shazam to the modern era via the New 52 in the Justice League backup story, which is awesome. And then he was just like around for 5 years, and then Jeff Johns does the ongoing, and it's really good. We got like the Magic Lands, Mr. Mind is already there. Black Adam's still being epic. Dr. Sivana is a key role. We've just got Tani Taki finally. So, and he's a cook because of
I'm a
course
Marvel
he is.
guy, so this is all like foreign to me.
just not in a minute. It's good.
Somewhere out there, somebody who's listening to this is like, yes.
Exactly. Shazam fans like it. But if you're a fan of like old school Captain Marvel, or because remember he was Captain Marvel before Captain Marvel. That's right.
That's a whole other podcast.
I could do a whole podcast on that. But anyway, so. But that's number one for me, and that's just a big fan one. To go to Marvel, I will go to a book that I just picked up today, Fantastic Four by Dan Slott.
All right.
I've been a fan of Fantastic Four for a while. I like
Slott too. I like him.
Yeah, he did good. He did good on a Spider-Man run, and he did his best with Iron Man. Yeah, he's still doing Iron Man. Sorry, it's complicated, but and then but I with Fantastic Four, I've been a fan of the characters, and I actually liked their first movie. I'm apparently in the minority of that.
Probably.
Second one was bad. I won't deny that, but the first one I think is a little more underrated than they think. But I never got into the books because by the time I got into comics, which was when I was like 18, they were already in the midst of a big run, and it was kind of hard. And then there was like the whole Fox debacle where they canceled the comic.
Yeah.
So this one with Dan Slott, my comics are over there. Like, what am I pointing to? My comics are over there.
It's just your head in the box anyway. Don't worry.
Yeah, it's pretty much.
Don't worry. Nobody even saw you point.
Glass case of emotion. But no, when I got the chance to read Fantastic Four #1, I was like, okay, let's try this out. And he's about to finish it. Today's issue that came out was a finishing of an arc called Point of Origin, which rehashes the origins of the Fantastic Four, but puts a really cool twist on it.
Okay.
And I just really like it, and I'm really engaged in it. It's really, really cool. So
I prefer that to a reboot any day.
Well, it isn't a reboot. It is a reboot in that it's the first time the first family of Marvel's back in the Marvel universe for a while, but it's a direct continuation of what happened in Secret Wars, where they went off into the multiverse to rebuild it.
Right.
So it's a direct continuation of that, and yet it still has that reboot feel of like, what do we do in this modern world that we have been away from for a while?
Right.
So, and of course, their kids.
Right, I saw all that stuff. They have like a spin-off for them or something.
They do, but the Future Foundation, that was another thing. But they're direct kids, Valeria and what's the kid's name? What's the other kid's name?
Franklin.
Franklin, thank you. Yeah, they're teenagers now, so they have their own things going on. So that's cool. Which of course ties into the next thing, which is X-Men. I'm just gonna put X-Men in a bubble because
it's a good way to do it.
Jonathan Hickman, the genius that he is.
Bundle it all together.
But yes, the X-Men total reboot, which is it's a reboot, even though it's technically a continuation. What he did with Powers of 10 and House of X was insanely good. I mean, the twists, the surprises.
Let me ask you a question, because it's one of the only books I am still reading. Are the X books?
Yeah.
What's your take on? I find that X-Men's great. Francis Lanier Yu's artwork is always amazing, so that's always worth the price of admission.
The artwork is fantastic.
Marauders to me is the only one that's actually kind of doing anything outside of Hickman. Like anything Hickman's writing right now in X-Men, I feel is good. I feel like Fallen Angels. I like Brian Hill. I thought that was kind of cool. It's weird that it's kind of part of this X universe though, because it's such a tangential.
It is. I feel like of the ones I'm reading, I felt that Fallen Angels was the weakest. Not because of bad writing. The visuals are obviously gorgeous, but it felt less connected.
Right. It's not. It's almost this like right. I agree with you, but New Mutants went into that whole thing with the. With the white supremacists or the mutant supremacists on the farm, which I thought was weird. And
I'm not
after putting them in space. Hickman wrote the first 3 issues and put them in space, and I was like, this is awesome. This is really cool. And he made Sunspot like this really obnoxious character, and it was really good. But then someone else took over, and they're right back to. That's my whole problem with the X-Men books, though. They're always fighting the same things over and over and over again in the exact same way. There's like nothing ever seems to change
in every reboot.
Right.
Every reboot that promises something new, it's always kind of the same old thing.
Yeah, right. and I acknowledge like it's very cool as Marauders, where spoilers, Kitty Pryde may or may not be dead.
Right. We don't know, so it's not a spoiler. It's a cliffhanger.
And if we're being honest, it's because of Sebastian Stan being a dick.
Right.
Which we knew he was.
No, Sebastian Shaw. Sebastian Stan is.
Sebastian Shaw.
He's a really nice guy.
Yeah.
I think.
Sorry. I get the names confused. Right
now, by the way, all the DC fans are like, huh? I don't know who this people are.
No, Sebastian Shaw, which we knew he was a dick. But no, I get names confused all the time. I kept calling Adam Driver from Star Wars Matt Driver, and I said it like so casually. It's like, oh yeah, Matt Driver was great as Kylo Ren. It's Adam. Who? No, it's Adam Driver. Oh, my bad.
What's number 7 on the list?
Number 7 is I thought X books are a bundle.
Right.
Are we going 10 to 1? Okay.
Well, so all the X books is that
bundle? So it's a bundle. We just said
now you're 4.
Sure. Yes, we're at number 4 on the list.
I've lost control of my own show.
You've lost control of your own show. I'm going to bundle the 2 Power Rangers books, Go Go and Mighty Morphin. I am, of course, one of the.
Right.
Oh yeah, hey, what?
See, Todd's reading. That's why we have him on here. I'm cheating.
No, said with no judgment.
I'm letting him read for us. This is good.
So, but no, I have been a big Power Rangers fan all my life. I watched the show for like 20 years before I finally fell out. It finally got too cheesy, which is hilarious when I think about it.
You probably just grew up.
I did. Oh, I did. But it was like there were seasons that were still like it had the gravity of what Power Rangers show can be, and I still want to write a Power Rangers season that mine would be very realistic and yet not gritty but true to what the nature is. And then you had, if you remember the series Megaforce, that one was so cheesy, it was terrible. And then the final battle of like all the Rangers together that was supposed to be this big moment was like 90 seconds. And I'm just like, I waited all season for this.
There's a joke there somewhere.
Oh, there is.
Don't make it.
It's called Saban.
See that?
It's called Saban.
It's called Saban. Anyway, but
that's what she said.
Nah, that doesn't work. But the comics, which of course were originally started by Kyle Higgins, who I know, they've been great. And then they did the Shattered Grid arc, which is incredible. And then they did a spin-off with Go-Go, which is like kind of a prequel series.
Our only question is, are you reading the crossover with TMNT?
Of course. Obviously.
Shredder is the Green Ranger.
I know. And then he fought Rita, and it's just like, and then they're like, oh, we're going to team up, but when we're done, we're going to finish this fight. And he goes, I look forward to it. I was like, see, I want to be in the creative room of those crossovers. It's like, what can we do that's so shocking and so epic and yet doesn't break continuity? And then someone says, could we make Shredder Green Ranger? Done.
Yeah.
We'll find a way.
We'll do that.
We'll do it. Oh, yeah, but what about Rita? She said just let that happen. What if they fought? So... But anyway, the story is they're doing an arc right now called Necessary Evil, written by Ryan Perot, who I've also met. And they're literally breaking continuity, but they're doing it in a way that's like, yeah, we don't care. It breaks continuity, but
they're acknowledging continuity by breaking it.
Exactly. Well, like if you do you remember the original series? Okay. Well, I'll go slight spoilers really quick. In the first season, okay, there's 5 Rangers: Jason, Trini, Zach, Billy, and Kimberly, okay? And then Tommy comes in, most famous Ranger. And then around season 2 or 3, 3 of the actors, Jason, Trini, and Zach's, left the show. They were they were gone. But they had to write them in a way that made sense while not killing them because this is a kid's show. So the excuse that they got was that they were selected from a large group of people to go to the UN to be an ambassador, which is weird because they're teenagers. But hey, politics. What are you gonna do?
So
they're teenage ambassadors.
It makes
they're
sense.
Ambassadors to adulthood.
Somewhere.
There you go. And so like that's how they were written off the show. And then Jason came back later, and it was a thing.
Wasn't there a terrible insert where you could see like the back of them getting into a car or something like that?
They had to do like by that time they'd already left the show. They had to use like stunt doubles and camera angles to make it. It was a whole thing. I could do a podcast on that too. But anyway, so in Necessary Evil, like that was the way they were written off the show. In Necessary Evil, we find out, oh no, we didn't go to the UN. We just told you that because we went and traveled the universe as a different kind of Power Ranger and to save the Morphin Grid and yada yada yada. So it's cool, but it's like we know that's not what happened. It's one of those things. But it's great storytelling. I love that they're embracing the Power Rangers legacy and telling new stories without more or less rewriting everything.
Yeah.
And seriously, check out Shattered Grid. It's easily one of the coolest Power Ranger stories ever. Hilarious because it's a comic that came out 20 some odd years after the original series. But hey, that's
what comics are for.
Right. So that was number 4 because that was a bundle. Number 5, gotta go with a classic. Gotta go with Batman. Tom King has been doing his arc. He just finished that up, and then Jason Tynion IV has just started his arc. Batman and Catwoman are finally married. Finally. Only took them 100 issues of this run, plus a breakup that was totally terrible. I mean, what is it with comics and relationships? If we're going to talk about pet peeves, my pet peeve is comic relationships. They are horrible. They're forced half the time. Break up for the dumbest reasons.
That's the same thing with TV shows and because you sit there once the will they won't they ends, you lose your drama. I mean, that's what ends up happening a lot of times.
Potentially, and I'll give you an example. fantastic. Oh, that's a great example.
Ross and
That's
Rachel.
a great example. Ross and Rachel.
They had to break up because there's. I mean, no one. If you get a happy ending, that's the end of the show.
Well, at more.
And nobody wants to end the show.
No, I was hearing the joke.
No, yeah, he went somewhere else.
I went somewhere else.
Yeah.
No, but like a great example of this is Reed and
It's true in both ways.
Shut up. Reed and Sue Richards. They've been canonically married for decades, and yet they keep finding ways to make it work because of their children. And
yeah, but you know what? The funny thing is, their relationship was it was never the focal point of the series. In a lot of ways, a lot of times, the series that you're reading has two characters that start out single. And then the question is, will they come together? And that's where the shipping comes from, as opposed to they came in and they were already a couple. So there was no drama as to whether they were going to get together or not. So there's no need to worry about the drama as it goes on.
But the difference here is that, you know, with Catwoman and Batman, they've always had the will they won't they. That's been happening for decades. Superman, Lois Lane, same thing. Diana, Steve Trevor, you know, stuff like that. But then great example is Iron Man, who I could have also put on this list. But and in the recent Dan Slott Iron Man comics, Tony Stark, so randomly hooks up with Janet Van Dyne. And it's just like, okay. And he's like talking with her like he's had a crush on her forever. And it's just like, I remember 6 comic arcs and a few issues ago in another comic, she was hooking up with Havoc, had a kid, lost the kid because of timing, right? Comics, everybody. And it's just like, oh, but no, I'm here with Tony now. And it's like, so like that's what I hate. It's like, you know, it's terrible. I mean, it obviously could be worse. It could have been like Batman and Batgirl in the Killing Joke cartoon. So.
Oh yeah! Wow.
Yeah. I'm gonna beat you up. No, we're gonna make out and get it on. Yeah.
Like let's add on an entire 20 minutes that weren't even in.
Puns though. The puns and the memes though, they were great. Like Batman and Gordon talking, "Hey, you got trouble tonight?" "Yeah, I'm going out with your daughter." But no, Batman is still very good. The issue that came out today introduced the Joker's new henchwoman called Punchline. So I would tell you how that goes, but I couldn't get you. I know, right? What a zinger! But I would tell you how the issue went, but I can't get it because it sold out so fast that the cheapest version you can get of a reprint is $55.
What?
Kid you not? It's because they announced that Punchline was coming, and apparently everyone's like already in love with her, despite not hearing her say a single word. Comics, everybody. All right.
I guess technically you don't hear her when you read the comic anyway. Number 6.
Yeah.
This is bad. This is hard. Wow. This is just not going well.
No, it's not going well at all.
Hey kid, this is Snakes on a Plane. I love it. Go ahead.
I am tired of these mother effing punchlines on this mother effing podcast. It's like, I'm here to talk to you about the Punchline Initiative. No. Okay, number 6. I'm gonna. This one's a little bit of an offshoot. Black Panther and the Agents of Wakanda.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah, this one came about because Black Panther in the comics is now the leader of the Avengers. Like, he was voted the chairman of the Avengers. And he knows that while the Avengers tackle all the global threats, that there's still all these other threats on Earth and beyond that they need to deal with. So he assembles like this kind of Suicide Squad, ragtag, Expendables team. And it has they have Kazar from the Savage Land. They have Gorilla Man. They have a Brood. They brought in Mockingbird. And Janet's in there, and it's just this really wacky kind of story. It's like 2-issue arcs, get in, get out, get it done, and it's just really fun storytelling. And it's just like, hey, let's throw as many weird characters together as we can, and it works. So sometimes
cool.
you just need to have fun in comics and not have these long drawn out arcs.
I'm gonna play producer/host and see if we can get through the next 3 very fast.
Okay, fine. Justice League, which I put a caveat on because I'm talking about this
because we're short on time.
Not that, but the Scott Snyder run, which was like 40 issues long, just got done. But if you can check it out, that's them versus the Legion of Doom, and it's awesome. Let's see, number 9. Gosh.
Can come up with 10.
No, I can come up with 10. I read a lot of comics, but a lot of them have ended recently, so I gotta make sure I can talk about them. But let's see. Oh gosh, this is hard when it's like you're trying to remember all that you read.
Any indie comics on the list?
Nightwing would be on there. They've done a good job since he got shot in the head. That was a thing. Lost his memory, became Rick Grayson because that's I know it's terrible, but the story is good.
No, it's terrible, but it's good.
It is. No, the when someone just gets shot in the head and all of a sudden, oh yeah, I don't have any memories of anything, but I still have like the
That's
physical,
what happens.
the physical memory of like me being a gymnast and basically being Nightwing. It's like the reason
muscle memory.
Yeah, muscle memory.
Muscle memory over cerebral memory. Okay.
Yeah, pretty much.
Love it.
Yeah, and then number 10. Oh gosh. Tokyo Blade Detectives. No.
I figured that we teed that up for you. Actually, you should.
I don't want to cheat. Gosh, I know I read more than 10 comics, but because I bundle all the X-Men series together, I think that kind of.
This is very true. This is very true. I'll throw one in for you. If you're not reading Stray Bullets, everyone should be reading Stray Bullets.
I have not. I've heard good
things. It is one of the most amazing character-driven books. It's a crime book, but it's really a dissection of characters and over a long extended period of time in Baltimore in the 80s. It's the most amazing book. Still one of my favorite. Still my favorite probably of all time. So go check that out. Todd, tell everyone where they can get your Kickstarter and they can join in on Tokyo Blade Detectives, which is your number 10.
Yep. Yes, it is. I'll take it to my number 10. Yes, we are on Kickstarter right now. Let's go to Kickstarter.com. Type search for Tokyo Blade Detectives number 2. And for those of you who didn't get number 1, we have plenty of rewards that allow you to get both of the comics digitally or physically. And for those of you who have been around, we still have some of our best rewards, including getting drawn into the comic.
Ooh.
Getting some special T-shirts, including one for the Empress of Japan. And I've even offered a reward where I will help you make comics if that is your thing. So
very, very cool.
Nice.
So we've already hit our funding goal. Now we're just trying to get to however many backers and how much money people will give me.
Well, we wish you the most success, and we hope that people take advantage of it. Todd Black, ladies and gentlemen, love to have you on next week. Why is everyone so scared of Disney? Found a really great column about
how much time you got
of Disney.
How much time you got?
Yeah, well, about an hour.
There you go.
We will see everyone next week.